it. Hi everybody, welcome to my latest video. This one is all about the garden, including building in the garden and finally getting some plants in the ground as well. And there's loads to share and I'm so happy with the transformation. So let's just get into it and I'll see you again at the end of the video. Good morning everybody. It's sunny out here, but it's a bit windy and a little bit cold as well. You can see that I've got the crack shack sanding station still set up. I've still got to do those pieces there, but everything else has been sanded. And I'm going to push on with working on this in a little bit, but I need to go to town first to get a few materials. And since today is Sunday, I'm going to save the trip to town until either tomorrow or the next day when some of the smaller shops that I like to go to are open. And in the meantime, I'm gonna head back down to the garden because there's so much to do down there. And I have a few priorities for the day. One of them is getting my corn into the garden bed. I read online that it is possible to start corn in seed trays, but you want to transplant them before they get root bound. So things are kind of pushing it, really, and it's weird that some of them are coming up a lot more slowly than others because it's all the same seed. So I don't know what that's about. I also have Sinead's corn from down at her place because when you plant corn, you want quite a dense number of them all together so that they can so they can pollinate each other in the wind. I've grown corn once before and it really is very fun to grow. I love how it looks and I really love sweet corn and it's super expensive here. So this is one of the crops that I'm most excited about. And another priority for the day is to get this avocado tree that I bought last week into the ground because I'm not going to kill another avocado if I can help it. This is my 5th attempt. This is going to be Alvin the avocado number 5 and it needs to go in the ground as soon as possible just to take advantage of the lovely weather we're having and so that it doesn't get root bound in there. So while we're in here, I might as well take a little look at what I got going on. Lots and lots of cucumbers on the way. I'm going to see if I can really up my pickling this year. I didn't do much last year at all. And then I've got lots of tomatoes as usual. And then also lots of flowers, which is something that I really haven't done in the past. So I'm curious to see what they all look like. And then over here, I have some more tomatoes. Should probably get those potted on. And what else have we got that's interesting? Lots of flowers and more cucumbers. And then in this tray, the usuals: basil, dill, tomatoes. I like to do companion planting, so the basil will go with the tomatoes and the dill will go with the cucumbers. So there's a whole lot of life in that polytunnel. There's a lot happening in there, and that means that I need to actually make space to put all of these lovely little plant babies into the garden. And right now, part of the garden is great, but part of the garden is a complete disaster. As you can see, I've got a massive pile of rocks here, totally in my way. I want to put the larger rocks all along the side of this bed. I'd love to get this cherry tree bed lined with stones as well, and possibly the lime. And the thing that I really need to focus on is sorting out this disaster zone here, and especially seeing what's going on over here where the water tank overflows. So obviously the grass is getting loads of water, the lilies are getting a lot of water, and stuff is gone extremely crazy. So lots to do over there. I don't know if I'll get to it all today, but it's definitely going to be my goal over the next few days. But first up, the corn's going here, and before I build up the bed and spread everything out, I want to put some edging along this bed, raise it up a bit, and this is going to be my first task of the day. So I should have everything I need for this project in that wheelbarrow. I've set up a little workbench there, and I have a few pieces of pine over there that I got from Sinead's place. She's already made some garden beds down at hers. They look great. She's mostly done them 1 level high, and then she did 2 levels high of the pine pieces for the carrots and the beets. I'll probably do 2 levels high for all of my garden beds, but I'll see how it goes. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on this because the pine stuff isn't really that durable. It's actually sold in gigantic bundles as firewood. I think it's only 60 euros for a huge bundle. And she ended up ordering 5, and then when they were delivered, he bought 3, and she just stopped there. She said 3 is enough, and she still has so much more left over. She used it to clad her bathroom outside, and it's really good for cladding, and it's also good for things like garden beds. So I have these old small fence posts, I guess, from I don't know when. I don't know why I bought them. I've never used them for anything, and I'm thinking if I chop them in half and then make another spike on the second piece using my axe, I can just bash them into the ground, which is pretty soft at the moment, and then attach the pine onto them after that. I brought up a few pieces of the pine. It's kind of hard at the moment to find anything decent because it's been pretty picked over. She has a fresh bundle that I'm sure has some good pieces in it, and I think there's probably still lots of good pieces down in the pile, but this is what I've got so far, and I'm gonna see if I can make it work. Okay, first step, let's make some mini posts. Okay, job done. That didn't take too long. I stopped for a cup of tea with Kimberly, who came for a visit.
Hello.
Hello, and she also came to chop some of these lilies before I probably end up completely annihilating them, just so I can actually get back into my garden space. So Kimberly, tell us about, a little bit about, because we're going to go on a tour at some point soon, but tell us a little bit about your new house.
Well, it's very exciting. It's in the village. It's about 5 minutes or so up the road, and it just ticked all the boxes of what I was looking for in a property, which is really great. So I've got a house to renovate, and then outside space for this guy is so important, and also I really want to get some kittens and possibly a little buddy for Jet as well in the future. So, and it's really rare, especially in the village houses, it's quite rare to find somewhere with such a big outside space. So I can have like a barbecue and a bar.
You were even talking about possibly having a little splash pool like mine.
Yeah, like a jacuzzi.
Might be a squeeze. 2 olive trees, you want to get in there?
Yeah, I've got 2 olive trees from a friend coming from their land, because you can transplant them and they survive. I've done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but great.
But you love building. You love a bit of DIY.
I love DIY. That's what they call me, DIY Kimbo.
So you likely will be hiring builders, and
yes.
100%. And it needs a lot of work. New roof, new floor, and then a lot of stuff. So we'll leave the rest of the info until we take a tour, which is going to happen
on Friday.
On Friday.
And
in a week.
And we'll do a little bit of work on it. Well, you will.
Yes.
And I'll make tea and bring some food.
We're going to do some demo work and reveal some more of the front space of the house. Lovely.
Stay tuned.
So some tea has been drunk, some lunch has been had, and I'm back at it in the garden to get these raised beds made. But before I do, just wanted to show you my sunflowers. They're coming along nicely. I don't think they were damaged in the hailstorms, though some of them have been munched by snails, but not too many. And things are looking good down here. I'm not really sure what the best approach for this is, so I'm just gonna wing it and adjust as needed. I think my plan is to get the posts in the ground first, get them nice and sturdy, and then come back and attach the longer pieces of pine onto the posts and reinforce where I need to. So that's the plan. Let's make some raised beds. So I think that'll do. These probably could have been a little bit more plumb, but I think it's fine. And rather than push on with all the posts, I think I'd like to prove my concept first by attaching some pine pieces, and then I'll go on from there if all goes well. So that looks like a pretty good starting piece. Let's get this on and see how things develop. I think the trickiest part of this whole thing is going to actually be finding decent pieces of wood. I don't have so many to choose from, and they're all kind of wonky and different thicknesses and different portions. So I'll try to pick the thickest, best sides. The end of this is looking pretty crappy, but this side seems sort of okay. So let's measure it and then chop it off and then go from there. Do I do 2 high? Do I do 3 high? Is this piece of wood too thick to use? Is this one too crappy? I just don't know. This is going to be a really finicky and annoying job. So I think what I'll do is get started on this first wall off camera, prove my concept, come up with a plan, and then reconvene when I know what I'm doing. Because right now I'm a bit mystified and a bit frustrated, and I just need to puzzle some stuff out first. So here's where I'm at, which is basically not very far, but I'll check in again soon, hopefully with this wall attached. So I'm back, and I have 1 wall done and 2 walls done, and my intention was actually to do a 3rd wall and most of the 4th one, and then install the last piece with you guys today, but I'm finding this quite frustrating and very slow. It's almost 6 o'clock, and I really don't know where the day's gone. Time flies when I work in the garden, but I'm feeling tired, and I don't love doing carpentry work when I'm tired because this project has been a little finicky and it takes some thinking. So I'm gonna stop wall production for the evening, and instead I'm gonna do something a little different. The bed's gonna be a bit thicker than I had intended, so I'd like to actually drag some of the soil back on this side and fill it with sticks. I have some lemon tree branches up there, and I've got some thicker logs in my compost area as well. And fill one side and then drag the soil over and fill the other side. And it's just gonna raise everything up a bit and put some natural organic matter in the base of the bed, which is gonna help hold the moisture, and it's gonna mean that I need less soil. So that's my job for this evening, and I'm gonna do it with a snap. Okay, there we go. It's not finished, but it's all I had energy for. This was quite a mission, and I got halfway, and under there lurks a whole bunch of logs that are quite smallish, that I found around the place. And also I've been working through the lemon cuttings, scraps that I had from pruning the tree a really long time ago. So I basically moved everything into there and then buried it. So it was a lot of moving of soil, but kind of enjoyable. However, I'm definitely over today and ready to rest. One thing I did want to point out is that originally I put some large logs into this, and then I thought that maybe some of them were too big for the roots of the corn and other vegetables to get through. So I feel like these larger logs are for hugelkultur beds that are going to be a lot deeper, and it'll give them time to break down and give space for the roots to sort of go around them. So this garden bed for my corn has gotten a little bit more complex than I was intending, as with many things that I do. But it's been fun to just do some physical work and switch off from that finicky carpentry that I was doing before that was frustrating me a bit. So it's been slower than expected, as with everything, but the results are good. It's a beautiful evening, and I think I'm just gonna call it quits for tonight and head to bed early because I am exhausted. So I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. So I've been working hard all morning and I have lots to share, but it was really nice to see the cats having a lovely little run around. I have plans to eventually build some kind of a pergola and other vertical structures for the garden, mostly because they look really cool and it'll be nice to have plants growing up them, but also for the cats perhaps, because maybe if there's stuff to climb on, it'll mean that Mikey won't terrorize my blueberries quite so much. So I want to keep the boys happy and hopefully they'll keep an eye out for moles. So I've been really working hard, but it's, as I've mentioned many times, very slow progress, but I'm happy with it and I'm getting there. So I've done all the sides except for one, and I figured I'd just chime in, show you what I'm doing. I'm basically just screwing them on. I've cut it to size, and I've been starting up at the top and working my way down, which I found to be the easiest. So it's been a whole lot of drilling and screwing and sawing, and it's been a bit tedious. The hardest part has been finding pieces of the pine that are decent. It's all picked over, but I feel like I have enough to do a few more beds, and then hopefully Sinead will bust out the last bundle and there might be some better stuff in there to allow me to continue. Because even though I don't love it as much as I love the stone, I am happy with how it looks. It's definitely functional and the material's there and it's free, so I might as well stick with it for as long as I can. Because free and functional is fine with me. So it's basically just been a lot of that over and over again. I still have to do this side and get 2 more pieces for the bottom. What I wanted to also point out is that I've gotten rid of all of the lemon prunings that were up on my terrace above, and I've actually also chopped up some lavender I had laying around, things that were going to take quite a while to compost in the compost bin. I just chopped up and stuck in here. And so once this bottom level's on, I'll drag this all out a little flatter, and then I'll probably end up using most or all of this bed to top this bed up before I can get to planting the corn. But before I can focus on that again, I've got to finish up with this trolley because my friend has claimed it back. He's been wonderful lending it to me, and it's been a massive help. It's a beast. They're quite expensive to buy, so that's why I don't have one of my own. And they don't seem to be quite as robust as this one. So, before I send the trolley back, I've got one more big stone to split and then to move up to the garden bed. So, since this is kind of an enjoyable thing to watch, let's do this together. One thing I'm not so sure about is whether or not I need to have the stone sort of propped up off of the soil a bit more. My fear is that I get these little guys, which are the plug-in feathers, which some of you may have seen in my previous videos, stuck in the holes. And I think that if the stone is elevated a bit out of the ground with some other stones propped underneath it, it might have more of a chance to actually break. So, I just want to use the handy dandy iron bar to see if I can get this thing out of the hole a bit more, get this other little rock underneath there, and then we'll see about breaking it. Okay, I think I'm a lot happier with that. Let's get this thing split. So you can see the stone is starting to split here, but this isn't usually how it looks. Generally these are more together and this goes in a lot farther. So I'm not sure how the rest of it's going to turn out, but I guess all I can do is continue and hope for the best. Success! Got there in the end, and I guess it's just proof how well these tools work, because even though it didn't seem like it was going, it did. So these stones are no match for the plug-in feathers. I love these little things, they're amazing. That was surprisingly strenuous, so I'm going to catch my breath, maybe work on the garden beds a little bit, and then haul those rocks up to the garden to use for the walls of the sunflower bed over there. So it's around 3 p.m. and I still have loads of stuff to do, so I'm just going to power on. Here's where I'm at, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, the walls are done, the soil is in. I actually ended up using all of this, which was surprising, and I could even probably top it out with a bit more, so I'll aim to get a bit more compost in there soon before I plant, which is going to be tomorrow because I'm exhausted. I also moved the stones up from the terrace below with the trolley, and now I've got some wood chip here, and I want to lay it down in this path. So it might seem a bit silly putting the wood chip only in this little section of path, but I'm super curious about how it's gonna look. And this is gonna be my last job for the day because I'm really tired and I have a date with some friends to eat some burgers later on, so I need to stop working and get ready. So, wood chips are a lot harder to come by than straw, and I was gonna use these chips on my beds for mulch, but since straw is easier to find and a lot cheaper, I decided to use the wood chips on the path. Sinead and I did a massive order a while ago, and there's a huge pile down there with maybe another 5 or 6 buckets. But right now I just want to see what it's going to look like because I have a feeling it's going to look super cool, wedged in between the wooden walls of these garden beds, and especially cool when I get it around the stones. So I'm very hopeful that this geotextile fabric, along with the wood chips in a pretty thick layer, is going to keep the weeds at bay. The fabric is actually tucked under the edges of the boards, so hopefully I don't have so many problems with weeds in the future. Okay, I'm really happy with the wood chips. I'm really happy with this bed. I'm very pleased with the beginnings of this bed and excited to have those stones over there ready for work on that another day. So it's been a bit of work, but it's been fun, and the garden is finally starting to take shape, and I love it. I love how it's turning out. But a garden isn't a garden if I don't plant anything. So tomorrow I'm gonna get the avocado in the ground in this spot, and then definitely get the little baby corns into that giant garden bed, and then I'll see what else I can do after that. So I'm tired, it's a beautiful evening, I'm hungry for a burger, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for some more work in the garden. Good morning from the polytunnel. What's that, Larry? This guy's talking to me. You're very noisy, but you're very snuggly and lovely as well. Gonna hang out with me in the garden? Yes. Sounds good. So, I'm gonna be filling this wheelbarrow up with lovely little seedlings. Starting with the corn, it's definitely going in there and there, and I've also done some research and found out that there's lots of things that the corn likes to be planted with. So I'm going to put some butternut squash in, and I have some flowers as well. I think it likes zinnias and cosmos, and definitely marigold, and I was sure that I had some marigold in here somewhere, but I can't seem to find it. I've also got oregano and thyme down there to stick into the beds on the sunny side, and then for the shady side, I'm gonna pick up some parsley and basil, and I think I'll get some beet seeds as well, and possibly even radishes, just to act as a ground cover for the corn as it grows. I do love a bit of companion planting. Not only does it make the bed nice and dense so the weeds don't have a lot of space to grow, it also helps with deterring bugs and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all works, and I'm especially excited to see how the flowers do, because flowers aren't something I've really incorporated into the garden so far. I have a few here and there, but I've never really used them, except for marigolds and sometimes nasturtiums in the garden as a companion plant. So I've got quite a bit of planting to do this morning, but it's going to be a little rushed because I'm heading out to run some errands in a little while. So I've actually been up already topping up soil in the big garden bed, and I've also soaked Alvin the avocado, Alvin the fifth, in a bucket of water in preparation for planting, dug a hole, lined it with stones for reasons that I'll explain later, and I filled it up with luscious, lovely compost. So I've got lots of work to do. Let's just head down to the garden with all these little baby plants and get going. Okay, so I have the delivery of the first plant babies of the season. It's all very exciting, and I can't wait to get them in the bed. But since I also want to get Alvin into his hole, and since I'm pressed for time, we're gonna have to do this the fast way. Okay, the corn babies are in. I don't know about the spacing, it might be a little too close together, but at least that'll be good for pollination. And it's all a big experiment. I haven't put these in yet because I'm feeling a little bit rushed, and I definitely need to get Alvin the avocado in before I head out. So I'll finish those off this afternoon, and I'll get Alvin into his hole right now with a snap as well. Okay, Alvin is in. My hands are good and dirty. I've made a raised bed, which I'll explain later on once I get back from my errands, and I'll tidy up some of the shoots and things at the bottom. I'm gonna give everything a water now, and then I'm gonna head out, and I'll be back this afternoon to finish up with the companion plants and chat a little bit more about my plans for Alvin and this terrace. So I'll see you this afternoon for some more planting. So I'm back. It's a glorious afternoon, and it's time to get these plants into the bed, starting with the butternut squash. So these actually appeared randomly in my compost bin. They would have been butternut squash bought from the supermarket that found their way into the compost, sprouted, and then I ended up transplanting them into the garden. And I've collected seeds from those squash, so who knows if these things are going to grow into actual butternuts. They have a tendency of cross-pollinating out in the wild, and they could turn out to be just some weird watery squash that is unpleasant to eat, but I'm going to give it a try anyway because the squash is going to spread along the bottom of the bed and give the corn some ground cover. It'll hopefully keep some weeds at bay, and at the end of it, maybe I'll have a nice lovely butternut. So I'm going to live in hope, and hopefully these things turned out as planned. And squash is part of a system that's called Three Sisters, where you plant squash to go along the ground, and then climbing beans that actually climb up the corn. It's sort of an ancient way to do things, and maybe I'll do that. It requires giving the corn about a 30-centimeter head start, so I need to come back later and get the beans in. But to be honest with you, I feel like this bed is really quite packed, and maybe I'll just leave the beans for another year. So keeping in mind that the corn is going to grow big and tall and have a shady side over there, I'm going to plant what's recommended on the sunny side. And I believe it was the cosmos and the zinnias. And if I have space, I'll also try to sneak a basil or two in that I'll buy from the shops when I'm there later. And I think calendula might have been something for the shady side if I can find some space. So I'm going to get these in and see you in a minute. Okay, done. That's a zinnia. I put the calendula at the back over there. I've got some cosmos, and there's still space, in theory, for some parsley at the back part and some basil at the front. And I am so excited to see this thing grow. So the bed is super full, but it's also super awesome. And I'm gonna give it a drink. And I will be down here checking this thing on the regular. And I actually underestimated the number of corn that I have, so I have a few left just in case any of these things get munched by snails. My intention is to chop a bunch of bottles in half and put them over each corn, but I don't have enough bottles, so I'm on the lookout for those now with friends, and hopefully by tomorrow I'll have at least some bottles over the corn, because I find that doing that really helps protect things from the snails. Okay, job done. I'm so happy. And there's even more happiness to report because Alvin the Fifth is in his little bed looking cozy, slightly crooked, as with every tree I plant. Somehow that always just ends up happening. And so I wanted to explain a bit of what's up with the stones and why I've raised this bed up a bit. Basically, my intention is to eventually move this terrace over to be maybe around there. And the whole terrace is going to be extended so that this upper hangout space comes out a bit more. And in doing that, I'm then going to have a bit that comes down. The avocado will remain here, but I'm going to build up stones and things around it to the height of the terrace, because the stones behind it, especially since the wall is facing south, will create a microclimate that'll bring in the sun. The sun will soak into the stones, and it'll hopefully give the avocado some extra heat that it needs to survive the winter. So that's not going to happen fully with the terrace, but I wanted to raise the avocado tree up in preparation of that. And before winter comes, I definitely will stack some stones around it in preparation for the cold weather. So this tree is getting all of my love, and I think he's going to be a survivor. So while I've had a wonderful little flurry of activity these past couple days, there's still so much more to do in the garden. Some carrots to pull. The lilies are absolutely bonkers. There's loads of weeds over there to pull out as well. And then I've got a lot of work with the stones to raise up the bed around the sunflowers, and also to put stones around some of the other beds in the garden as well. And I might even make some more wooden beds if I'm feeling super energetic. So things are happening. It's big changes. I'm absolutely loving how it looks. And it's just really nice to see things finally out of the polytunnel and in their place in the garden. So it's been a fun video for me. I really am happy with how things are going. I hope you've enjoyed seeing work in the garden push forward, and it's going to be fun to monitor the growth as it happens. And of course, I'll be reporting back every step of the way. So as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.